Good evening, everyone. This is again your Can We Talk host, Theresa White, that is coming to you on this wonderful Monday, March the 23rd, 2020, with our Can We Talk live topic on tonight. And I think it's definitely very important for us to discuss what's happening right now. It's very difficult to get away from, as it seems to be everywhere. So I want to come on tonight to do, first of all, a check-in, as I will be doing that periodically throughout this time of people being on lockdown, in certain states being on lockdown. And I know Ohio as of right now, Illinois, and Indiana as of Wednesday night, I believe, has been declared on lockdown. So they're asking that you don't come out of your home unless it's a necessity, or unless you work at an essential business. So let me do a disclaimer. Introduce myself and do a disclaimer at the same time. My name is Theresa White. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and national clinical certified counselor and registered drama therapist here in Terre Haute, Indiana. I am giving information today, but this is not to replace any professional services that you may get from an actual, or I won't say actual because I am an actual counselor, but any professional services that you would get for yourself. This is information that you can use during this lockdown time that I'm hoping will be helpful for you. And I will let you know that a few of these tips I did get from another mentor that I have that lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And I wanted to be able to share some of these with you all on tonight. So I'm going to be talking about managing stress or anxiety during this wonderful, well, I won't say wonderful, let me not do a sarcastic, during this very stressful and uncertain time for a lot of people, and for all of us, I'm not knowing what's going on. So, excuse me. I want to come on, I just want to give you a few tips, and please say hi to me, let me know that you're here. Please share with others if you are... if you have people that may be struggling with anxiety and depression, forgive me, y'all, for fixing my clothes on here. But yes, please make sure that you share with anyone that you feel like this would be a helpful video for or information. Also know that not only am I live here on this page, I am on, we're always live going on our business page, In Time Creative Counseling Services here on Facebook. So you can always go there and be able to get information about the lives if any issues happen on this particular page. Or we're on our YouTube as well. You can subscribe there to see future videos that I will be sharing, just small tidbits here and there throughout this lockdown time. So with that being said, I want to give a few tips regarding managing anxiety. So let me first explain just a few symptoms that may be arising during this time. And sometimes anxiety happens and we don't even realize it because we have gotten very used to either shutting down our emotions, as we've talked about in our past, some of our past weekly talks, or we just have not been taught how to recognize them. So some things that I've seen people do is that people laugh things off. Typical anxiety symptoms that you may hear about, or common anxiety symptoms that you may hear about, is like shortness of breath, heaviness in your chest, headaches, stomach aches, loss of appetite. And some people may have an increase in appetite where they want to eat more when anxiety kicks in or those symptoms are present. So those are just a few things when it comes to anxiety. Now, I know that this is a time that's very sensitive because of the stipulations that a lot of the governors have given out regarding the lockdown for the state. And with it being around the time of spring, with it being around the time of people's previously planned spring breaks for college students, and then for next week in this area was supposed to be spring break for the primary school district, Vigo County School District. So a lot of disappointment has shown up. So a lot of the emotions that people may feel is just feeling very confused, disappointment. You may feel very frazzled and afraid. And so and some people just may feel very, and I won't say blah to it, but very indifferent. So sometimes anxiety symptoms can show up as being very indifferent, where you just don't have any response. Like, I don't care either way. That depends on how anxiety may play out for somebody, but that may be something that you may experience with that. So just giving you just kind of a heads up in the beginning, if you are experiencing these symptoms, know that you're not alone. As they have said this so many times on the news and on different social media platforms, that you are not alone. We are all in this together, and that you are not the only one that may be feeling certain type of emotions, having certain thoughts, may be angry or frustrated. They definitely are being experienced worldwide, and at least in this area. I have been listening to a lot of people and talking to a lot of people that are experiencing a lot of these symptoms. So know that you're not alone if you're having these different experiences or responses to what's going on with COVID-19 or aka coronavirus or the coronavirus. So again, if you are here joining, please say hello. Let me know that you're here. Please talk back if you have any questions. Please let me know. I am going to ask that you, with the tips that I share, if there's extra things that you feel like will be helpful for people that you have found that you're doing during this time, please share. You can share them on our business page, again, End Time Creative Counseling Services, here on Facebook. It will be INTIME, End Time. And so I'm going to get to the tips so that we can get you back to your evening. And so again, to keep my mind from like going off into a whole tangent, I actually wrote these down so I can make sure I remember. The first thing, of course, is to be able to limit if you are having these symptoms, especially when it comes to social media, and this is a world where we connect with people by face, or by our what we call FaceTime, or on our phones, or some kind of electronic device, whether you are playing a video game, or you're on a telephone, you're on a tablet, you're on a computer. You typically are connecting with people that may not be in your area, or that may be in your area, usually electronically. So with that being the main mode of communication that has been used in the past several years, it's not a surprise that that's what people are using now to continue that communication. But with that communication, I'm going to encourage you to be cautious and very mindful of how often that you are on social media or on some type of electronic platform, whether it may be that you are on YouTube or Twitter or whatever you may be on. Okay, because on every single platform there are different statements, things being done, news reports, and so if it's very anxiety or as we call triggering, anxiety provoking for you, or it's bringing up these symptoms or these responses when you see people talk about coronavirus, or they're joking about it or sending memes or whatever may be going on, you see a news report. Just right now you're probably hearing a lot of different changes and news reports that have been going out. They keep getting updated as the days go by. I'm going to encourage you to limit that. I think that's definitely very great advice, because I'm trying to figure out how to word that, because it can seem like it's being an outlet, a healthy outlet for you to take your mind off of the stress, but it can actually be increasing the stress because you're continuing to see what you're trying to get away from. And I've seen just trying to get on and check an email, or trying to say hello to a friend, say happy birthday to somebody on these social platforms. And so everybody's news feed says something about the coronavirus, or talking about COVID-19. Even in my emails, in my business emails, there are businesses that are sending emails about coronavirus. So if that word particularly, or hearing about the virus, if you've been overloaded or you feel like it's overwhelming to continue to hear about that, I'm going to encourage you to limit that electronic device that you may be connecting with. Now, and you may also need to say to people that are around you, or someone who's talking to you, like, right now, this is my quiet time, or whatever you want to call it, where you're limiting, definitely that the constant talk about it, or the constant joking that you may see. And again, that may be a response that someone may be doing to help them with their stress regarding these changes, or their stress regarding what's happening with the lockdowns and shutdowns over the different states. Secondly, I'm going to encourage you, as I thought this was a great tip as well, to read your news, not watch it. And I'm a huge fan of this tip because sometimes the news, not sometimes, a lot of times the news can be very stressful. And they can definitely be very reliable sources to go to, but because they're constantly updating during this time, and you're just, again, constantly watching something over and over again, you want to make sure that you read your news and you're reading it from a reliable source, or you're getting it from a reliable source, whether you go to that news station's webpage and look at the source of where they got their information, or you're reading it from the webpage, opposed to looking at it on TV or online. So definitely encourage you to, again, limit the input, because that anxiety, when you are dealing with the stress of different changes that may be happening and how fast things are happening over these last couple of weeks, it can definitely be very, overstimulating for you. So thirdly, I'm going to give these last few, but I'm going to encourage you to talk to people that are going to be supports for you. People that you may have concerns about, you can definitely reach out to people. But again, if you're limiting your electronic device connections, or on social media, then reach out to them by phone, or you call them, so that you're not getting on social platforms to check on someone. Or maybe just shoot them a message and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Can you give me a call? Or can you let me know a good time to talk to you? Opposed to, again, getting on a lot of the platforms and we're going through multiple videos, we're going through different, statuses and comments and things like that can, again, be overwhelming to someone who's already dealing with the stress and trying to manage that, not only for themselves, but for their family. So last but not least, I want to encourage you, I'm going to give an example after I give this tip, but I want to encourage you, when it comes to anxiety typically shows up when we feel like we don't have control. And with all the things that have been going on, and what you've been hearing over the news, and the different addresses from the presidents and the governors, a lot of things have been shifting that you have no control about. You don't know if your job is going to shut down or not shut down, or pay you or not pay you, or, checks coming or checks not coming. There's a lot of uncertainty happening. So, of course, it's very common for someone to feel very anxious about what's happening. So if you are feeling very out of control, or feel like a lot of control is being taken from you regarding your circumstances or your life, then I want you to focus on what you can control. They're telling you to wash your hands. Of course, you can control your hygiene. You can also control partly your schedule in your day. It can be very easy to just lay around all day because you don't have to go anywhere, for those who may be forced to stay in their homes. But it's also very important that you do get up and move. that you would, take you or purposely make a schedule for these days that you're going to be on lockdown. Okay, so whether it's, if I'm used to getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, don't take these days to sleep in to noon every day and then try to come back from that and have some type of energy, because you're going to set your body up to be very lethargic and have a lack of motivation. And you want to keep that motivation, especially because during the times of being in lockdown, it's easy to be sedated, where you are, or sedentary, not sedated, I'm sorry, where you are not moving, sitting watching TV all day. And I've been guilty of this on some of my days off, where I would just sit and watch TV all day. And that's not good for your body, not good for your core at all. It's important for you to get up and move, whether you walk around your house a few times, or you just kind of go back and forth up, if you have stairs, up and down the stairs, some type of movement. I know that there are some people who who are struggling with the fitness centers being closed, because they were very faithful to go to different gyms or fitness centers. I know that it's not the same when you are looking at a YouTube video or some type of online video, but consider again what you can control. You can put on some music and dance if you need to. If you're not a dancer, because I know some people went to certain classes that were very high in motivation, in physical activity, very high in, I'm trying to think of the word, aerobic activity, then do something that's going to match that. Whether you take you a couple of runs around your block, or up and down your street, where you're just running or taking walks throughout the day, then you do that, so that you can make sure that you are staying that your body is in movement and in motion. One thing that I will say is, if you are on a meal plan or a meal schedule, to try to keep to that, to not just eat randomly or snack a lot, because that's going to make you very lethargic, and it can also mess up your digestive and dietary tract. Digestive tract, especially when it comes to anxiety, because that can affect, again, digestion when you're having a lot of stress and anxious feelings. So you want to make sure that you are eating as clean as possible. I know that some people are definitely taking advantage of or trying to help out the businesses, the small businesses that are in your area, because they're businesses that are food producing, whether it's, your grocery stores. Of course, you're going to need those, the more essentials. But some people are helping out the small businesses that may be like the mom and pop restaurants, or it may be like the local drive-throughs that are not necessarily franchises all over the world. That's okay to be able to help those. I think our governor mentioned that as well, that he has been eating out or going to the drive-thrus to be able to help people or help those businesses. So there may be times you need to get out the house. So yes, you're on lockdown to only go to places, driving to places with other people or being around other people if it's essential. But you need to make sure that you're getting out of the house, whether it's to just breathe some fresh air, to sit on the porch, or take you a walk around the block. If you stay in the home too long, if you're able mobile-wise that you can get out, to please do that. Again, to keep that body moving. So I wanted to just give a few tips. If it gets overwhelming and you are having a hard time, again, healthcare is still open. And I am with mental health. Mental health is considered healthcare. If you need to reach out to a professional, such as myself or anyone else, if you're needing some referrals, please let me know. You can send me a message on here privately, or you can go to our website at endtimeccs.com and get information about our services there as well. I want to make sure, I see a comment, what are some physical displays of anxiety? How do you know it's not something else? Some physical things, again, can be the pressure of the chest. So you feel like there's very heaviness, very tight feeling in your chest. Sometimes that can be a physical display of anxiety. people sometimes sweat. The breath gets very short. And you can feel very winded, which makes the anxiety increase because then you can't breathe, and it kind of keeps this cycle of fear going. You can, again, physically, you can also lose an appetite or have a stomach ache where you're waking up and your stomach is hurting, even if you haven't eaten anything, or when you do eat, you don't have, and I want to say like regular bowel movements or regular digestive health as you usually would. You can notice a change in your digestion, whether the food you used to eat is now not sitting well with you, then that would be a physical sign of anxiety. Sometimes anxiety can definitely mimic something else. So to make sure that to know when it's anxiety, generally you need to talk to a professional to be able to know if it's anxiety or not. I encourage people to not try to diagnose themselves. The same way you wouldn't try to do it if you had a heart disease. You wouldn't try to say, oh, I know what's going on with me. I have a heart disease. No, you would go to a heart doctor or a heart specialist, a cardiologist, to make sure that you have that right diagnosis for what's going on in your body. If you're not sure and it's becoming invasive in your everyday activities, then that's the time to definitely see a professional and make sure that you are getting an accurate read of anxiety. I will say anxiety can be situational, especially with what's going on right now, that it definitely can show up because there's a lot of changes happening at once. So it's very common to feel out of control and confused or scared or worried about what's to come or what's going to go on during these times. And it can bring up those feelings of that pit of the stomach, like somebody just punched you, or the tightness in the gut or in the chest where your muscles get really tense, or you're kind of walking around, you're snapping at people, or you're very short with people. And sometimes anxiety can bring short. When I say short, I mean like in conversation. Or you don't want to talk to people at all because you have so much on your mind. And it can be with anxiety, one thought can lead into kind of a railroad of thoughts. So if that's the case, if you have one thought about buying bread or, going to buy a can of beans, and then it goes into a whole railroad of thoughts, where you start to get those physical responses, even if people notice them or not, then that would be a sign that this is anxiety. And anxiety definitely comes when adjustments in life are happening that you may not have been ready for, or don't feel like you are adequately ready to handle. And this is such an uncertain time that people are feeling that across the globe, that this is something that people are not sure what's going on, or kind of, what they need to do besides just stay home is what they're being told, and keep their hands washed. So, any other questions? I was going to also say with regards to Jerry, your question, it could be, excuse me, if it can be, of course, we talked about anxiety in some of our past lives. Anxiety can also mirror or mimic depression. So sometimes what you think is anxiety, it can be going into depressive mode, which is why I'm saying to be physically active, because for those who may struggle with motivation, feeling very tired all the time, not having a desire for activities, because right now your activities may be shut down, things that you enjoy doing, but you don't, want to do anything else, then that would be a setup for someone to, who may be struggling with anxiety, to go into a depressive episode. So you want to fight that by, again, scheduling your day, scheduling time, making your day more productive than just sitting and being sedentary. So please let me know how you are getting through the lockdown. I have seen some very fun things on social media. So some things people have been very creative where they've made games. I've seen some like church business games. One of my friends posted up. I've seen people doing games or posts asking how, or your first response to someone meeting you, or your first impression to someone meeting you, and people responding to that. I've seen a lot of different posts that are trying to make things fun, to say, okay, I'm bored, answer these questions or play this game with me. And people have been engaged, or people are just checking in, how are you doing? And people respond on their feed. So again, positive things that are, again, building you up, making you feel good, you want to engage in those. But again, be careful that what you're trying to get to those, that you're not being over swarmed by all the news and the talk and other posts that you may not want to see. One of the tips that another therapist was stating was to make sure that you are blocking certain words. You can block the COVID-19 word if you don't want to see that constantly coming up on your feed, or you can unfollow people who are constantly talking about it that you may not want to see. Not the people, but the statement, or constantly talking about the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So again, I want you to be sensitive to people and give yourself some grace and be patient with yourselves. It's okay to feel confused and to not be able to know how you're feeling right now, because there's a lot of different changes that are happening, and they're rapidly happening. So you have to adjust rapidly, and that can bring up a lot of things for people. So if there's not any other questions, please feel free to share. When we come back next time, I will definitely make sure that I want to share a few different anxiety tips as well on how to manage, some other anxiety tips on how to manage the anxiety during this time, or the stress during this time. So thank you again for watching. You guys have a great week, great productive, and hopefully creative week, as we talked about. Hi, Jennifer. As we talked about last session, that this be a time for you to connect with your families. So if there's anyone that wants to let me know how they have been spending the last week and what they've done with their families. I know over the weekend I did play some games with some family members that I haven't played in a long time. One of the games was Scattergories, and I love Scattergories. It's one of my favorite games. And it was nice to be able to play that with family and friends, and just to be able to just enjoy that time. So again, make sure that you are connecting with your loved ones. I know it's very common, or it can be very easy to go to your bedroom and everybody separate themselves all day for days on end, but that's not healthy. There should be some type of connection, whether you sit at the dinner table and eat dinner, or you are talking to people, hey, just kind of checking in, opening up a bedroom door to your children. Hey, how you doing? Or for your teenagers, if you need to knock, you can do that too, and just check in with them. So make sure that people are not just again, everybody in the house is not just laying around all day. There is movement happening, even if it's not easy to move. If there's not any other questions or comments, again, please comment if you are looking at this live. I'm going to tell you reading this live. If you are looking at this live after it's been recorded and you have comments or questions, please feel free to do so. As I said before, I do check during the week different questions that may come up, or comments that people may post after the live has ended. So again, I'm Theresa White, and as we said, I approve this message. Have a great week.